Hi, what is the Wolfram Alpha and why is it in this assignment? Essentially, Wolfram Alpha is what is known as a computational knowledge engine. That's what they call it. I'm not sure what that means, but I think it's a very interesting tool. Kind of a Google-like search window comes up and allows you to put in a lot of different types of data. I'm not going to attempt to go through all of them with you, but I do want to show you a couple of sample searches using Wolfram Alpha. The reason it's in this assignment is because I think every assignment we create nowadays really needs to have some data element to it, regardless of the age group that you're working on. Wherever possible, we should try to get data, and it could be statistical, it could be geographic, it could be other types of data, but we should be using it as often as we can. Certainly, it gives an additional point of view, an entry point to our instructional goal, but it also just makes sense, particularly those of us who may be designing for younger students because we want to develop in them numerical skills, um, like I never got. Anyhow, so here I am at the Wolfram Alpha, and you just type wolframalpha.com, and more or less it brings this up here. And I can choose to do a basic search, like what's 1 plus 1. I click the enter button. I'm not sure what they call it. I'm sure it has a math name. And it returns this information. It gives me an input, results, number name, gives me a number line because we just all need one of those. An illustration of the actual kind of manipulatives, they call them, and so forth. It even gives you the amount of time it should take you to calculate that based on your age group, and it hasn't escaped me that they stop at 18. Anyhow, so that's one example. Certainly Wolfram Alpha allows you to do mathematical equations. In fact, there's a programming language that exists underneath this. We're not going to get into that today, but just so you know that it's there. I wanted to draw your attention up here to examples, just so we can look at some sample searches. I would ask you to go in and take a few minutes, look at the examples, and just run the searches just to get kind of an idea of how this tool works. I'm just going to choose chemistry, uh, just because. And here's a good example. Compare several elements. And you can see it'll give you kind of sample searches, each in its own little search window for you. So I'm just going to compare these three elements. And again, I'll click the computation button. And it returns this really fantastic amount of data. Gives me the names, shows me the location of each on the periodic table. Gives me a picture of each of the chemicals involved, some basic properties, thermodynamic properties, etc. I won't go through all of those, all the way down. So it's quite a bit of information for you. Each one of these may also have additional things that you can click on. That was really scientific sounding. Um, in any case, I wanted to add that this data is also available to embed in any of your instructional materials. The Wolfram Alpha actually counts as a research source, and it is accepted by all of the big, like the APA, etc. So they do own all of this data, and you can cite them. Let's take a look at the kind of information that I want you to include with this assignment. Let's just say that the biggest problem that you deal with in your day-to-day life is traffic. Pretty unusual around here, but let's just say it is. You go to the Wolfram Alpha and you type in the word traffic, and actually there's traffic Washington, D.C. right there. I go ahead and I compute. And I can look down and Wolfram Alpha returns this really interesting amount of information. First of all, 11 minutes per day per person. I think they mean delay in traffic. It gives you a historical graph, some really depressing data down here about average annual delay per year, etc., and so forth. If you look down below, it even shows you a traffic map, which what I didn't check, but I think it's actually live or somewhat live. Let's take a look at a couple other things you can do with the Wolfram Alpha. Um, Beneath every data set within the Wolfram Alpha, there's a context menu that lets you do certain things. Generally, most of the things that you can do there are part of the Pro version of Wolfram Alpha, but you can share, and you click on share, and it creates this permanent shareable page. Uh, you press that link, and then you're able to see a permanent page. I don't know what just happened there, which then you can create a link to and incorporate it in wherever else you could put a link. A couple other things down below. It does give you the sources for the data. There are some fun things that you can do here, even though you can't actually download and keep any of the data off of this using any of these. You can at least look at the sample data and get an idea of the kinds of things you could do with an advanced version of it, or I'm sorry, a pro version. In any case, down below this particular table, it gives you the definitions and also the units of measurement, which is kind of an interesting piece of information to have. Let's take a look at another type of search that we can do with Wolfram Alpha. Let's say I just want to compare kind of general information about three people. I type in their names, just separated by commas, and you see Mick Jagger, Albert Einstein, and Marie Curie. And let's see what Wolfram Alpha returns. Gives us a little table with names and dates of birth and death. Mick Jagger's still alive. And ages, so forth and so on, a little picture of each of the three. Timeline of their lives. It'd be actually kind of interesting to know if the three of their lives had overlapped. My favorite, the Nobel Prizes. I think they missed Mick's Nobel Prize. Anyhow, so there's that type of information. So it isn't all just kind of data oriented. There is biographical and geographical, etc. Type of information in there. Good luck. Stay in touch with me. Let me know if you have problems or questions or would like some help figuring out how we can use this tool in our assignments, but also in our everyday work that we do in our lives and as instructional designers.